You are on the air. Pull this over here. Get this pulled up so I can see the chat. Boop, 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 boop. I can see. All right. Got the chat. Say something. Hello. Chatters. Hello. All right. Looks like I'm up and ready to go. So, I'm going to go ahead and start talking anyways. What's up, John? What's up? I see you. Hello. First one here. I'm going to pull, let's see. I want to show a little bit of the inspiration for the Halloween deck first. Pull up some of my Pinterest pictures for this. Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. So what I'm doing now, I just want to show you guys some of the inspiration that I have that kind of led me to the style of artwork for the Halloween deck. I'm going to share my screen. This is my Pinterest page. Let me see here. I'm going to put this over here so I can see it. Excuse me while I move some windows around. Okay. And if you have any questions, just let me know, and I'll try to answer them. I'm going to pull this window, pop it out so I can see the chat a little bit easier. All right. Let me pull this over here. So many windows. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen. I'll share this screen first. Okay. So this is my Pinterest page. And this is one of the Pinterest pages that I have for the Halloween deck. And so basically, my inspiration for the Halloween deck was this really very rudimentary artwork printed like, you know, 50s, 60s, 70s. Basically, anytime, this is all this old offset printed stuff, like 1-2 color printing. And this is kind of like the artwork that I remember when I was a kid at Halloween time. You know, this ugly, most of the time, really crudely drawn artwork and with very rudimentary colors, but at the same time, very graphic, using lots of orange, yellow, green. No, just the very traditional Halloween colors. And this is basically how I remember Halloween. And then I saw, as I was looking, I started finding these images of these old Halloween masks like this, with these really beautiful colors like these greens and oranges and blues, all kind of like this weird kind of ochre pastel color. And then I came across these images of just like this old offset printed where you can see the dots, the dot matrix, the printing and everything. And I just absolutely love this look. And so this is all of this kind of stuff led me to the look and feel of where the Halloween deck has gone. Vincent, you're asking, do you work on the subdecks 5 months ahead of time? I work on the subdecks as my goal with subdecks is I'm trying to get as far ahead as I possibly can with the subdecks, only because the farther I get ahead, the more lead time I have to deal with production problems, stuff that may go wrong, this, that, and the other. So I'm only working on the Halloween deck because I have finished all the decks up to Halloween. So that is that is kind of why I'm working on this, because I'm ahead of this and I'm trying to get ahead of the shorts. Because ultimately I would like to be able to take some time off and a vacation, but not have to disturb the flow of the Kingswald Shorts decks. yeah, so that's my answer. So this kind of old, very graphic trick-or-treat Halloween style artwork is kind of the basis of what the Halloween deck is right now. I'm gonna go pull this over. This is just my basic Photoshop file that I'm working on. It's got the King of Spades. That was like I'm gonna stretch. Oh, sorry. This has the King of Spades is the first card that I did, and it's just a vampire, and you can kind of see how I have pulled in that very crudely drawn, rough ink, rough printing, and you can see the dot matrix of the halftone and everything, and just the cruddy. I think that look is so cool. So yeah, so this is the King of Spades. I always usually start with the King of Spades, and then I can show you the Queen of Spades. So from here, what I do with the King of Spades is I will complete a card all the way. I'll color it, I'll draw it, I'll color it, and then and in this case, I'll age it and distress it to a finished level, to which so basically like this is what the King of Spades will look like in the final thing. And then once I kind of get a base standard card that I can look back at and refer to, then I start drawing the other ones. And so these next cards that you'll see are nothing but the basic line drawing. So there's no color or anything. And the line, like if you look at this, the line work in this, it's like all wavy and distressed. And that's just me distressing it to make it look like that old kind of printing style. And so from here, this Queen of Spades, like this witch, she hasn't been distressed yet. She hasn't been aged. She hasn't, like, her line work is very, very clean. But she's got the beginnings of that really crappily drawn. I mean, it's not crappily drawn. I think it's very well drawn. It just looks very crude because that's the way it's supposed to look. But it hasn't been colored yet, but it has the beginnings. And this is kind of what I'll do on a deck like this that is themed, where once I establish the look like this, I use this card as my style guide. And then I will kind of I'll use this as a style guide, and then I'll continue to draw all the court cards to this level. So this is my Queen of Spades, and then I've got this skeleton as the Jack of Spades. And you have this, they would always have this really crappy drawn spider that's basically like a dot with 8 legs. And this skeleton reminds me that there was this cartoon that was put out. I can't remember. I think it was Disney. I think it was Disney, but it was these dancing skeletons. And I remember watching that cartoon, and I was mesmerized with just these dancing skeletons, and it was like their bones were made of like rubber. And I watched it over and over again. But that's what this really reminds me of, is because they would pull their femur bones, and they would use their femur bones to like play like a xylophone on another skeleton's head. But that's kind of what this is. I think it is the spooky, scary, something like that. It was black and white, obviously had cats in it. But they came out of the grave. I love that cartoon. That was one of my favorite cartoons when I was growing up. But anyways, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start from scratch. And I think I'm trying to remember what court cards, what monsters. I've got a vampire, I've got a witch, I've got a skeleton. I'm going to have a ghost, like a sheet ghost. I'm going to have a werewolf of some sort. I'm going to have I think I am going to have like a cat. I'm going to have like a feline cat as one of the queens. And then I have, what else? I'm just trying to remember my list in my head. I have a. My mind is going blank. I think I'm gonna have like a. I can't do Frankenstein because Universal Studios owns the rights to Frankenstein, or the Frankenstein that you know as Frankenstein with the green skin, flat head, with the bolts in his neck. I can do a different Frankenstein, but it can't be that iconic Frankenstein that everybody knows as Frankenstein as soon as they see it, because Universal Studios owns they own the rights to Frankenstein, they own the rights to Wolfman, they own the rights to Swamp Thing, they even own the rights to Dracula's wife. But Mummy is one of them. Yes, Hartwell. Mummy is going to be one of them that I am going to do. I am also going to do, I think, like a Cleopatra type character. Because I remember always when I was a kid, so a lot of the girls always dress up like Cleopatra. And I'm trying to remember the other ones. Oh, yeah. I'm going to do like a red devil with like a pitchfork. A sheet ghost. I've already said a sheet ghost, but I think that's it. So, oh, and I might do like a pirate too, because one of these masks that I really like, you see a lot of like this pirate mask in different forms. I'm trying to find it. Let me go back. They have this pirate mask up here, and then in this one they have a pirate mask. They also have like a lot of times they'll either have like an astronaut or a pilot. I might do that. Oh yeah, this reminds me. I'm gonna do like a princess or something like that, because I mean, more often than once, my daughters have been princesses for Halloween. So I think, let me see. And I also think I'm going to do a jack-o'-lantern. I did a jack-o'-lantern last year for the King of Hearts with his head cut off, and I really liked that. And I'll probably do some type of jack-o'-lantern again. Maybe I'll do the jack-o'-lantern as like the Joker. But for the Joker, I have this idea of doing like this funny drawing of like these smelly feet. So you got trick or treat, smell my feet. Yeah, definitely. It's not necessarily just spooky Halloween. This is like fun Halloween costumes that I remember from when I was a kid, basically. All of the fun Halloween costumes that I remember when I was a kid. Because a lot of these are kind of like based on like those really crappily vacuum formed masks that look like this, you know. Or there's also, like, if you type in vintage Halloween masks, like stuff like this, like these really bad vacuum formed masks. I think those are awesome. So yeah, so that's the idea. That's where we're going. So I think, let's see here. I'm gonna do maybe we'll do the Red Devil today. That sounds like fun. We'll do him. Let me just I'm just gonna pull up some reference images. Because I always like to work from reference images. Let's see here. Vintage Halloween masks. Okay. There's like this special look that I always liked for this devil, and I want to find it. I'm sorry I'm not drawing anything at this point. I'm just thinking. All right, so let me go back. All right, I think I'm almost ready. Sorry, guys. Getting my thoughts together. Because it's like going from 0 to 60, trying to get creative again. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, one thing I've tried to do is I've tried to keep the scale of each of the characters' heads about the same, where their eyes are in the same spot and their mouths are in the same spot, because I want them to have this kind of standard size and scale to make them feel like those masks, but I don't necessarily want them to look like Halloween masks. I just want them to have, I do that just to kind of have a standard size and scale of everything. Because if you have one thing that's scaled to a certain proportion, then you have something that's a lot different. It sometimes can feel kind of wonky. So wonky is a technical term, by the way. So I'm just going to duplicate the skeleton. I'm going to duplicate the skeleton. Get rid of some of these layers here that I don't need. Will I be showing you the distressing process? Maybe. I'm probably just going to do drawing right now. Just the drawing phase. So I'm going to take this skeleton. I'm just going to bring him down a little bit, just so I can have the shape of his eyes. I'm going to pick up my pen and get my tablet to the right space. I'm going to get my pen here. Give me my drawing, number 12, round brush, my workhorse brush. Let's see if my tablet is working correctly. It sometimes seems to be temperamental, and my drivers get screwed up. Okay, so I think we're good. So we're going to do, I've seen some of those. You always see like those kind of red devils. Red devil. Sometimes it's hard to find the good image. But like on those old like magic posters, you see like the red devils, stuff like that. Let's see here, vintage. The vintage red devil. You know, this is kind of like what I'm talking about. This kind of look right here. This kind of weird, you know, the little tiny horns, the little Salvador Dali upturned mustache. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for. Kind of like these, not so much like these little imps, but more of kind of like that kind of traditional devil. That looks stupid, but you get the idea. So go back. All right. So how about you shut up, Jackson, and just start drawing, and we can go from there. All right. So what I'm gonna do is make me a new layer. I'm gonna draw his eyes first. His eyes are probably gonna be a little bit more like the Dracula. So I'm gonna bring the Dracula down. He's obviously gonna have much more, you know, pointy eyebrows. And I'm just gonna quickly sketch what I'm thinking. You know, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm just gonna quickly sketch what I'm thinking, just to get an idea. Have his horns right there. Let's see. He's gonna have that kind of widow's peak, that slick back, greasy, shiny black hair. And then it's gonna be hard to. I'm gonna have to really work to not let him look too much like Dracula, because he's very similar. But he's gonna have more of kind of like a let's see, try this. More of kind of like a Salvador Dali look. That's one thing that I've noticed with these Draculas. I mean, not Draculas, but devils. And he's gonna have that red mask. I'm just gonna duplicate his eye here, so I don't have to draw it again because I'm lazy. Flip it over, and just like that. I'm gonna give him a much more. Let me see here. I'm gonna give him very pointy ears, like that, maybe. And then I'm gonna pull down. I'm just gonna draw where I want his face to be. I'm going to take this Dracula out because I don't want to subliminally make him look like another Dracula. Let's see. The slick black hair is pretty easy. Slick black hair is the way that this is drawn. Slick black hair is very, very simple in the sense that it's basically a black in this old vintage style drawing. The way they do the slick back hair, it's basically a black shape like this, and then you just come in with like an eraser. Oop, see, my tablet's screwing up. 1 second. You basically do a black shape, and then you just come in with an eraser, and you draw like the highlight lines of, because usually on hair there's a ridge where the highlights are, and that's really about it. It's not that, and it's all going to be suggestive of form anyways. So I know his mouth is going to be right around here, right about here. So we're going to go maybe some curved lines like that. Give him a nice pointy nose, and then give him some really exaggerated, snarly nostrils. And then we got to have that upturned, that very upturned Salvador Dali mustache like that. Give him some, let's see, here's where his chin's going to be. He's going to have one of those cheesy like mustache, those little gristache or whatever you want to call it, those goatees, like little point. He's going to be very kind of gaunt, so we'll bring in his cheekbones like this. And then start drawing his mouth. Got the corner of his mouth here. He's got his snarly lip like that. Give him some. See, now the problem with this is I don't want to make his fangs too pronounced, because then he'll obviously look just like old Drac. So I'll just give him just a hint of this kind of snarly teeth. I'll color in the shadows to reinforce the shape, just like that. Let's give him some, let's work on it. Let's give him a little temple action. Draw his head, maybe some lines on his horns. A good chance for me to save so I don't lose my work if something happens. And then let's bring his cheekbones in, his jaw. Let's make him really skinny, kind of wiry. Like that, whatever. Something like that. It's pretty good. It's going to change a little bit anyways. Draw his ears. And then maybe draw like that. Who knows? Maybe not, he doesn't have the hair. Maybe he doesn't have the hair. Maybe this is like one of those like red. Maybe this is like one of those red hoods or something. Because some of them have like a hood that they wear. So maybe I bring that in. And then maybe I do a hint of the hood or whatever that is that goes around his face. All right, I'm gonna bring Dracula back in just so I can have the body where I want to put the body. So basically, I know I want to put the shoulders out about to here because I want them to be kind of the same, and that's really about it. All right, so the heads are very exaggerated in terms of the size. I think this one's a little bit big, so I'm going to shrink it just a smidge like that, just a little bit. Oops, got to get it all in one layer before I do that, or it doesn't work correctly. Is it? Did I screw up and draw in the background? Nope, I'm good. Let me just draw this around here, shrink it a little bit. just a smidge. Move it up. All right, I think that's good. Let me see if I've missed any questions. Everybody's looking good. Let's see. Now, I know, so way I've got this worked out is I've got this border, and this is going to be a border that's the same on all of them. And then on the side, I'll go ahead and copy this king, this K right here from the King of Spades, just to have it in there, just to show this look like. So the border is going to be out to here, and it stops short because it'll give it room. It'll have room for this, you know, the clubs or whatever this suit is there. But one thing that I am going to do is to show you, let me duplicate this K. Let me flip it around. So the other cards, they have an element that's breaking that border. So Dracula has like his hand here that breaks the border, and then some bats over here that break the border. Turn that layer off. So you got the bats, bats in his hand, and then the witch has the broom that's in her hand and stuff that breaks the border, and then the skeleton has like his bone in his hand and this broken arm that breaks the border. And so much like that, I'm going to, obviously, what I'm probably going to do with the devil is have his pitchfork coming up like this, something like this, out of the border like that, and then probably something like his tail coming up over here out of the border there. So it'll kind of look like that. Let me see. So, and just to get an idea, I'll duplicate it right quick and flip it. And so you can kind of get an idea of what it might look like. And I could do some cool stuff where I can have this tail come up and around the back of that pitchfork, and it may come up like here, and then maybe he's got the pitchfork in his hand here or something like that. So let me just take those elements that I've drawn there. Oh, I don't want to delete that one. I'll delete this one. So I'll take those elements, flip it. Now I kind of have an idea of what it's going to look like. In terms of like his body, let me see here. They really didn't have that. They didn't have that vintage red devil. Their costumes were pretty uneventful. They basically just had red, and that was about it. Some of them have, like this guy. I like this guy's cape. I like this guy's like hooded cape thing. I mean, this guy's basically in underwear. This one is. Apologize for anything that comes up on this Pinterest thing. Let me see here. I like that. I like this. I like that collar on that one. Let me see if I can pull that up and show you. I like this collar. This collar right here. See, he's got that kind of that very iconic upturned mustache. So I'm going to try to see if I can maybe make this area in the middle a little bit more interesting than just blank red. Well, it's not going to be red. It's all going to be orange and black. So maybe he has this, like a chain here, like a big gold chain or something that holds the cape like that. And then maybe his collar comes up. Let me see if I can get another shape that I like. Comes up like this. and then back around his, like that, and then maybe it comes down and meets here, something like that, and then it meets in the middle. Not too bad. I think that's a good start. So I'm going to duplicate what that is so I can get a bigger picture of it. Duplicate, flip it. So now I've got a little bit more interest in this area. All right, from there, I'm just going to, I feel good about that composition. Feels pretty good. I'll probably terminate his pitchfork somewhere around here just so it doesn't come up and mess with his like tangent on his head. And I also have to think about, you know, up in this corner right here. This is not the king of spades, but I'm going to go ahead and use this index here just as a marker for how big that suit is going to be, just so I can have it. So if I'm drawing something, I know where it's going to be. So I'm going to take all this drawing, the sketch that I've done, I'm going to bring it down in opacity, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to draw the final drawing. Okay, so let's get our ink, our 12 round brush, and let's go to town. So I don't want to the thing I want to stay away from with this is trying to put too much detail in it, because all of this stuff, if you look at this, let me see, let me pull it up again. If I try to put too much detail in it, it will lose that feeling of this retro vintage artwork very, very quickly. And it's all really crappily drawn. I say that, but it's not crappily drawn. It's really well drawn. It's just very simple and rudimentary. And that's kind of what I'm going for. So I'm going to make sure anybody's asking questions. Looks like we're good. Excuse me. Let me see here. Just make sure everybody's good. Okay. So I'm going to just start with his something. Got a new layer. Everything looks good. So I'm going to, let's start with his eyes. I'm just going to draw this design a little bit better, or a little bit more refined here. Make sure nobody's asking a question. So, oops, a little blip up there. Okay. There we go. Let's sharpen that point up. Just like that. Let's bring the eye in, the ocular, whatever. Thicken it up a little bit. I'm also going to bring back my original King of Spades as my basis, because I want to make sure that my line weight, it kind of all matches, so they don't look like they're from different decks or different things. Draw the bags under his eyes. Draw his eyes. Let's draw his clean that shape up a little bit, make it sharp. Make that little peak nice and sharp. Draw his sharp nose. And I have found through experience, usually my first strokes are usually the freshest and the ones that end up looking the best. And so I really try to just not really think about it too much, not think about the drawing, but just go at it and let it happen, really, especially with these kind of drawings, because I'm not having to be like, I'm not trying to copy a photograph or something like that. It's just really me having fun and drawing. I'm gonna give him like this little pointy, this really creepy pointed top lip. As you can see, I'm only drawing half of it because I'm gonna end up mirroring it over, and then I'll change a few things just to get a little bit of asymmetry in there. All right, let me save just so I don't lose anything. Sharpen up that ear. Give him an earlobe. Sharpen up that ear right there. Save. Always saving. Lost too much work in the past not to save. Thicken that up a little bit. Sharpen that line. Sink. Sink. Sorry, I'm not talking. Just drawing. Just talking. Sorry, I'm not talking. Just drawing here. I'm going to go ahead and draw his chin, and then I'll draw the goatee onto his chin. That way it looks a little bit more realistic in the shape. So bring his, I'll maybe kind of echo that creepy point on his goatee right there. Like that. And bring this swooping line down here like that. Feeling good about that. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate his face the way I've got it here, just so I can start to connect the other side. There we go. Got that flipped. I'm just going to come in and draw some of the asymmetrical elements. Like that. Thicken that up. Sharpen that one up. Let's make this one a little bit different. Sharpen that up. Now I'm going to just paint in the shape of the teeth. I'm not going to draw the lines of the teeth because that is too much detail for these types of drawings, for sure. Feeling good? Let me draw the red hood coming down here like else. And then coming here. Draw the top of his head. Save. See if anybody's got any questions that I'm missing. Looks like everybody's there watching. Looking good. Let's see here. What do you do when you? What do you do? Tibby asks, what do you do when you are working drawing? Do you ever listen to music or whatever, or do you work best with zero distractions? No, I always listen to music. The only reason why I'm not listening to music right now is because YouTube will flag my video as copyright infringement if they hear a song on it. So that's the only reason why. I listen to Spotify, and I have a working music playlist on Spotify. I think you can even follow me if you want on Spotify. I got a working music, and then I've got a writing music list. I've got a writing music playlist that I actually am listening more to right now as I'm working. I also write fantasy. I'm writing a fantasy novel that I've been writing for the past 10 years. Hopefully I'll finish it one day. But I started that playlist when I write. But I've been listening to that a lot lately. And you can follow the playlist to hear what I listen to. I'm just going to draw this collar here. I'm going to draw both sides a little bit different so that they're asymmetrical. Obviously, I'm using Photoshop right here, and I'm using Photoshop for this project. Vincent asks, Photoshop or Illustrator? I'm using Photoshop for this deck of cards only because of the kind of hand-drawn nature of the court cards. Just draw a little hint of the top of that collar. Feeling good about that. Let me clean up this line, sharpen it up, sharpen this line up. Looking good. Let me save so I don't lose my work. I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to bring this layer down in opacity so I can draw the clasp or whatever this is, this chain thing. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I don't want to give too much detail to it because it doesn't need to be much because it has to fit with this style of art and drawing. So basically it's just going to be this kind of bulbous beaded gold chain and really nothing more. And that'll end up looking really good once I let me just sharpen up these edges. Like that. Put a few marks in there. Like that. Delete, erase these. And that's really all I need to put on that. I don't need to spend any more time on that. I'm going to bring back this collar. I'm going to erase it. Good about that. Let's see. All right, I'm going to draw his hand. Sometimes I usually like take a picture of my own hand and use it as reference, but I'm going to go ahead and just give this a shot because it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to draw it over to the left a little bit. Shape of a hand is like this. You got the middle knuckle, the long finger like that, and then you're going to have the thumb coming around like that. Let's exaggerate that. So let me make it a little bit. Okay, feeling good. So let's make a new layer. Let's draw his index finger. I need to bring it over here so I can see his knuckles. But I want to use this size. So I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to duplicate that so I don't lose its position. Then bring this over here. Okay. Draw his index finger. These pointy, gnarly knuckles. Where is it at? Where'd it go? There it is. That's the layer I want. Draw these knuckles like this. Draw the peak of that second knuckle, third knuckle, and the pinky knuckle. Little peak there. I'm already putting too much detail, but that's okay. We'll be all right. Middle finger and the ring finger. That middle finger is huge. Draw a shadow in there. That looks like crap. That's what that looks like, people. It's the worst hand I've ever drawn. His thumb. That's awful. That is an awful hand. Delete. Let me see here. Boo-boo-boo. Excuse me. All right. Let's try this again. How long did it take me to find my craft? I'm not sure what that means. If you could clarify that for me, I would love to answer it. Let's try this again. All right. So we'll draw. Hands are one of the harder things to draw, I think. Got the perspective. Drawing the perspective wrong is what I'm doing. Undo, undo. Well, I think in terms of my passion, I mean, obviously that's something you got to find for yourself of what you want to do and what you love to do. I really just fell into playing cards, but after I fell into it, you know, I realized that it was something that was amazing for me, at least, and I found a lot of joy in it. Then, yeah, I totally agree. may come at the most random moments. And I think that that's definitely the way it worked with me in terms of playing cards. Was, you know, it came in a time in my life when I was looking for something, uh, and you know, I never thought about making playing cards before, and I just did the Federal 52, and then it kind of worked for me. And then I just kind of went from there and did it, and just decided, hey, I'll do this. I'll do this until I can't do this anymore. And so, and if you're trying to find, I'm not trying to feel like a motivational speaker or anything like that. But, if you're trying to find your passion and you're trying to do your passion, you should just start doing it. And everybody's like, oh, I don't have any time to do that. Everybody has some time to do something. It's just where, you're putting your priority, and you're going to make time. You're going to make time to put towards your priority. And if your priority is, like for me, if it's playing cards, then I'm going to put time towards that. And as I'm talking, I'm putting way too much detail on this hand. So I'm just going to go back and simplify it a little bit here. I'm going to erase some of these lines. I may put some of those back in, like those. Maybe some of the knuckles, but not much. Even if it's just an hour a day, for sure. You'd be amazed if you did something for an hour a day. If you did that an hour a day for something for like 3 months, you would be amazed at how much better you would be at that thing. I have I'm going to save this right quick. I have this I'm going to draw his pitchfork. Let me draw his pitchfork right quick. Where's my, wait a minute, did I draw his, I already drew his collar. There's his collar. I thought I had lost it. Let me take this off. Let me find the original, where's it at? The original suit. This is the original position. So I'm going to bring this hand back over here. Let me see here. Let me make sure. And then, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a quick, I don't want to put too much work into it because I don't want it to look, this is wrong for me to say, I don't want it to look too refined. So I'm just going to quickly draw the pitchfork. I'm going to draw me a straight line for the middle of the pitchfork, right about there. You just get it to where I want it. Oops, I don't want to draw on that layer. So we'll go from here to here. About like that. And then let me draw the outer piece. I need to look at some reference here. Red, vintage red devil. I need to see what these pitchforks look like. Okay, I see. So they're pretty simple. Mine's a little bit too rounded, so I need to, it looks more like a, so it needs to be more kind of like that, maybe. Maybe. Let me see here. Yeah, that'll work for now. Let's see. All right, so I've got the basic shape of the pitchfork, so I'm going to go back in now, and I'm going to draw the pitchfork. Nothing too crazy. I'm going to, now, obviously, you can see that this part of the pitchfork goes out of the safe area, so I'm going to need to bring that back in already. just to make sure that nobody gets mad in the production. So just bring that back in a little bit. I'm going to hide the original drawing just so I've got it. What time? How long I've been doing this? I want to try to keep this relatively. I don't see what time. All right, I'm just gonna keep going. Okay, so where's my layers? Okay, we turn this off. New layer, and now I'm just gonna start drawing here. Got the top. Turn this border off so I don't see it. So there's the top one. Draw the second one. A little smaller. Third one. Sharpen these up. Suicide devil. I think the devil. I can't remember what I have. Maybe it's gonna be too thick. Alright. I'm just gonna go on the edge of this line because a lot of the ones that I like are these ones that are like really kind of like thin and fragile looking. I was thinking about the Suicide King. Who knows? Maybe I make the Jack-o'-lantern the Suicide King again, and make like that like a reoccurring theme. I'm not trying to make this line straight. I'm just drawing it by hand so that it has that kind of hand-drawn feel to it. Let me delete that back line. Just check everything out. Looks pretty good. Bring them together. Merge those layers. I'm going to go ahead and dupe the pitchfork and flip it over. So I've got it. So I can already see that right here. And the reason why I duped it is so I can see how it's going to interact with the head. So I'm going to just take his head here and merge it. Get these layers. Duplicate his head. His head's more important than the pitchfork, so I'm going to rotate his head, and then I'm going to position this pitchfork where it's not hitting his head and also breaking the border. So I'm going to delete this pitchfork because that position I don't want. So it's breaking the border, and it's breaking the border up here, as you can see, and it's also not hitting his head over here, and it's not hitting the pip. So that's pretty good. That should be a pretty good spot for that one. So I'll take it, dupe it, and rotate it over 180 degrees, and we should be good. Let me check my phone to make sure my wife's not trying to get a hold of me. Looking good. Okay. So now I'm going to draw his shoulders and his tail, and that will probably be about it. And I'll be finished with the drawing. And we'll maybe color it just so you guys can see the coloring process and how I distress it and stuff like that. We'll see. I don't know what time I started, so I don't know how long I've been doing this. And I want to make sure that how long has this been going on? I can't, help me out, people. I don't want to make it too long. I try to keep these to like an hour. Shoulders aren't that much. It's just basically a line. They don't have to be that great. All right, it's been like an hour, so I'll probably just stop with the drawing. I'm going to redraw that. A little bit too much of a slope. That's good. I don't want it to look too masculine. I mean, not masculine. That's not the word I'm looking for. I'm looking for, like, I don't want to make him look too big, muscular. I want him to feel kind of thin and wiry. Oops. So I got to fix this tangent right there. Don't like that. So I'm just going to change this collar a little bit and bring it down past that line. And that's good enough. Fixes that tangent. Let me sharpening it up a little bit, like that. All right, we're good. I want to transfer that change to the bottom. So I'm going to duplicate the head again and rotate it around. So I've got that change made. All right. And then I'm going to take the shoulders, this layer, and this layer, merge those, duplicate them, and turn those around. So now I've got the shoulder. Maybe this is, I think this is the diamond, king of diamonds. So I'll do some kind of like brooch or something, necklace or something in the middle that's like a diamond. And this one doesn't have to be, I'll just draw the top part so it's two-way. Doesn't have to be anything special, just some kind of design. I'll duplicate it, spin it like that. You got that. Let me take this stuff. Let me figure out how I'm going to do his tail. So I'm just going to make a new layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have his tail come up here around the stick and then right there. And then it'll be kind of like this. Like that. Let me just look at what that looks like. Nice S shape. S shapes are always good in design. Makes nice flow. Yep, that's going to be sweet. That's going to look really cool. So I'll just delete that. Bring this opacity down. And then I will draw the shape of the tail. Like that. Oops. Come down here. Draw the other side. Like that. Okay, I'm going to delete the original line drawing. I'm going to beef up this line weight a little bit. Not trying to be perfect with the lines because I want it to feel hand-drawn and rough. All right. Feels pretty good. Now I'm just going to put this behind. We'll go in front. We'll go behind it here. So I need to erase it there. Well, I didn't want to put it on that layer. All right, so got that on its own layer. We'll put it behind the stick there, and then we'll put it in front of the stick here. Like that. And okay, it's going to need to go, we'll go underneath the collar, but over the shoulder there. So now I'm going to delete this hand because I've made changes over here. So I've got these over here, and I'm going to delete the shoulders because I've made changes. So I've got the tail, the pitchfork, and the shoulders. I'm going to duplicate those, spin those, and I've got all the changes in there. And then I'm going to go back to my border. I'm going to duplicate my border, bring it down here with everything else. I'm going to group all of this, put in a new layer. It's going to call it diamonds. Make sure I got everything in there. Yes. I'm going to close this Spades folder, make a new group inside the folder, call it King of Diamonds. And I'm going to name it King of Diamonds, Red Devil. All right, I'm going to take the border and I'm going to mask out what I need to mask out, which is up here for the pitchfork, that part here, the knuckles, this tail, and this tail here. Same with this area, this area. Here. Good. I need to fix that right there. That's okay. So I'm going to go in here and fix this section of the shoulder like that, and do the same thing here. All right, that looks good. Let me zoom out a little bit. I'm going to merge all this except for the border. I don't want the king, the index, so I'm going to delete that. I'll draw that later. And of course, I do not want this in there. Should have not merged that soon. Let me go back in my history and delete these. Delete. I'll keep the king. I can use the king. I don't need the clubs, so I'll need to make a new club anyways. Okay, got that. So I'm gonna take all this stuff, take out the kings because those are colored. Merge it, make sure it's all together. It is. Gonna merge it with the border. So that's all together. I'm gonna save it. Open up my actions window, and I've created all kinds of actions for this kind of stuff. And so I'll show you just a little bit of my distressing, and this is just for the line work. This just makes the line work a little bit more distressed. And I'll just zoom in so you can kind of see. So this is before, and then I'm just going to take these actions over here and run these actions. No, I don't want to do this right now. I think I've gone long enough. I'll do the painting and distressing on another video. I think this is a good ending point for this one. But this gives you a good. I'll probably end up drawing. Yes, I see that. I'll probably end up drawing something for like his arm. In fact, now that I'm looking at it, I want to do that because it's really annoying me now. So I'll fix this that John spotted, which is great. Fix that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see. I'm thinking like I'll do, let me just sketch it in here. It'll probably be something like where you see, I don't want it to be too good in terms of like well formed and drawn. So I'm going to bring it out here so I can see it. And it may just be something like a sleeve and then an elbow, and then the elbow comes back in like that. I don't know. Let me see. Go back. Maybe it's more of a straight on perspective where it's kind of like, I need to draw the form correctly though. Something like that. Let me duplicate that, see what it looks like. Oops. I don't know. I'll draw it in there. It's better than a floating hand, but I'll sit on it for a night and see. After I draw it, I'll sit on it for a night and see how I like it, and come back to it. So let me bring this opacity down a little bit further. This is going to start lower. That. back to this layer. Fix this. Coming a little bit tighter on the hand. All right, so I don't know if it's okay. It's better than a floating hand. I don't know if I totally like that. It's got a weird shape to it, but that's okay because a lot of these stuff had weird shapes and they had weird drawings, and that's okay. Let me just erase the parts that I need to erase. Make a mask. Erase that part. And then it needs this part erased. Bring this back up. Then I need to erase. I'm not going to erase it. Just make a mask. His shoulder. I also need to erase the border. Erase the border. Feeling good about that. Take this part out because it kind of messes up with the perspective. Oops. Was on the mask. There we go. All right. Then I'm going to take this, duplicate it, flip it around. Where is my original? I need my white layer back. Delete. So this layer plus my background. And then do the same to this part. So we want it to have a balance between crappily drawn, but well enough drawn that it still has its form and such. So that's what we're going for this project. All right, let me save what I got. Saving. Let me stop sharing. Hello again. Hello, hello. So, I think that's about it for the drawing aspect of it. Let me just see if there's any questions that you guys have. Let's see. Let me see any questions. Pull this over here so I can see it. Yeah, does anybody have any questions? I probably will do the coloring and stuff at another time. I'll try to do a video of me coloring it and distressing it. Probably sometime this week. I would have been able to do about 3 court cards, I think, in that same amount of time that I was talking, only because I was talking a lot and trying to think through how to verbalize what I'm doing. So just in terms of a time scale, I think I could have drawn about 3 court cards in that time period. What would you like to know about the Americanas? I don't necessarily want to answer any questions about other stuff that's not relevant to what this video is about, only to keep it relevant to what I was doing and demonstrating. That way, 5 years from now, if somebody comes back and watches this video, I'm talking about the thing. Now I can get on Instagram Live and talk about that, but I'll just keep it to the Halloween deck that I'm doing here. And if you had any questions about that process. Oh, I'm gonna drop my phone. But anyways, that's kind of the very straightforward process that that I'm using for this Halloween project. I'm thinking about doing something with a tuck case where the tuck case goes inside another like slip case that's like an old Halloween trick-or-treat bag, like one of those old striped trick-or-treat bags. So that's one thing that I'm thinking about. But I think that's about it. I appreciate you guys showing up. I appreciate you guys interacting, asking questions. The next YouTube Live will definitely be on Sunday for sure, when I continue the heraldry series. I may try to do another YouTube Live this week on the heraldry, for me covering how I produce and prototype the tuck cases, and especially for this tuck case, because it's going to have all the different parts. So be on the lookout for that. So if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to call it a night and go get some sleep. And thanks again for coming. Thanks again for spending some time and asking great questions. All right, guys, have a great night. See you.